Hello, Courage, Confidence, Connections podcast fans. Welcome back. We have a guest today, and it is TJ Murphy with Hite Digital. He's going to tell us about him and how courage, confidence, and connections played into his life over the years and what's going on now. And before we get started officially, I would like to go ahead and introduce a new member of his family because I'm a pet lover, and if we don't get Moose on the screen, it's just going to hurt my feelings forever.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Can we meet Moose real quick?
Let's pull the camera here. So we just picked up this little guy. This is Moose. We picked him up on Monday. He's only 15 weeks old, so he can't be alone for too long. So I got him on my lap for this interview, and I think he's just as excited as I am, Janice. So it's gonna be a fun conversation.
It is. It is. So we know we love pets and appreciate the humor that they bring to our lives.
Oh, he's
So,
definitely humorous.
yeah. Now I've been on your podcast a couple times, and I'm thinking that it was time to put you in my hot seat, so to speak, and pay it back, pay it forward, or pay it some way.
It's an honor and a privilege to flip the mic around and join you here on your podcast. So I'm excited for the conversation.
Excellent, excellent. Starting out, let's talk a little bit about, where you're from and what your passion is and kind of lead into what you do later. So,
All right, sounds good. Well, I live here in beautiful Bend, Oregon. Been a Central Oregonian for 6 years now, but born and raised here in the Pacific Northwest, here in Oregon. Grew up in a small town called Ashland, about 3 hours south of here. And for me, my life has always been geared around the outdoors and adventure. My family, very outdoorsy folks. We spent most of our summers camping, skied all through my childhood from the time I was three in the wintertime, and just traveling through the Pacific Northwest, going on road trips, seeing new places. So being here in Bend, Oregon is my happy place. I've got access to all the fun things I love to do, from skiing and biking to rock climbing and paddleboarding on the river. It's really, an adventurous playground for folks that like to be in the outdoors. So, that's what I like to do in my free time. And I love the theme of courage. I'll kind of give you a little backstory. When I graduated college, I moved down to the Bay Area and followed my girlfriend. She had a job working at a startup down in the Bay. I was one term behind her in college. So once I graduated, I came down, we moved in together for the very first time, and we started our corporate grind. Is how I like to say it. We were new into our working years, and we were excited at first, living in a big city, starting something new. But after about a year of that, we really realized that we weren't feeling very fulfilled. We both grew up in small town Oregon, access to nature and all the fun things that I just described that I like to do. And that was a lot harder living in the Bay Area. And we weren't feeling very fulfilled in our corporate climb up the ladder, running on the hamster wheel. So we decided to take a big leap, and we quit our jobs. We sold off about 80% of our stuff, put the rest into storage, and bought one-way tickets to Southeast Asia with the goal of traveling for a year and really figuring out like who we were, what was important to us in life, and what we wanted to do when we came back in terms of our professional lives. And so talk about a courageous act for us at the time. It was very scary. Everyone was telling us, "What are you doing? Like, you just got out of college. You're just starting to climb the corporate ladder. Like, what are you going to do? You're just going to throw it all away." And we looked at ourselves and we said, "If not now, when?" We have no kids. We have no strings holding us down, no major responsibilities. Like, now is the perfect time to go do something like this and really figure out what fuels us, what our passions are, and what we want our life to look like, so that we can really design our lives together around our dreams and the things that we wanted to do. And starting a business for me was a big part of that. So as we went on this adventure, we ended up traveling for a year and a half. I started my business while we were overseas, and when we came back in 2017, I went all in on that, and that's what I've been doing ever since, helping people to grow their own businesses in a very stable and consistent, reliable way. And being able to see the impact that has in the communities they serve as a result.
And you are very involved. I know that. And you love to meet new people. That's how we met. We've ironically, being that close, we've never actually met in person. And
Why? Yeah, we never have. We both live here in Central Oregon, but
well, we had a little, hiccup along the way, so we know we don't go there about the details of getting stuck. But so tell me, where you love adventure, and that's the name of your podcast that you do, Adventurous Entrepreneurs. And with courage, it took courage to do what you did, to step out, and you moved and you traveled and then you started a business. So there had to be something that motivated you or had some kind of something behind why the digital world.
yeah, that's a really great question. So for me, after working 2 years for someone else, I just quickly realized that, you know what? I want to take that risk on myself. I want to bet on myself and build something that will allow me to live the lifestyle that I really want to have. And for me, being remote was one of the most important things, the ability to serve others and provide value from anywhere I choose to be, whether that's here in Bend, Oregon, or traveling abroad, or wherever my life might take me. And so building a business where I could bring in talented people from anywhere in the world to help work with me and help serve our clients at the highest level, and be able to do that alongside my wife with a lot more freedom and flexibility versus working in the big city, like I described before. We didn't want to be tied down. And so that was one of the biggest things that compelled me. And second to that, my motivation for starting a digital marketing agency, which is the business that I'm running today, Hite Digital Bend. I wanted to be able to see and impact the lives of people in my community. And I saw a huge gap in terms of marketing support for small businesses. There, at the time of getting started, there were still a lot of agencies out there, don't get me wrong, but time and time again, I heard from prospective clients of how they'd been screwed over in the past, how they paid all this money for something and they got zero ROI from it. And I just felt like there's got to be a better way to serve than this. And so that's what I set out to do. I wanted to be able to help clients and really take what is for many the most overwhelming part of growing their business,
Yeah.
how to get more customers, how to market, how to generate leads in a consistent, reliable way, and do it in a way where we become a growth partner. We're not just providing ads or social media or SEO. We're looking at the business holistically to understand where the gaps are and how we can help them not just get more customers coming through and saying, hey, we want to learn more, but how can we convert and nurture along and build a brand around that business? Because at the end of the day, when a local business is doing well, that has such a big impact on the community. They're able to create more stability for their employees, which helps their families have a secure and stable income. And
Yeah.
when they're doing good work in the community, that impacts everyone. It trickles down, and the exponential impact is so great. And so for me, that's what I love to do. It's what I love to see, being able to help people, whether they're here in Central Oregon or anywhere around the country. We serve local businesses, and whether I get to see that here locally or not, that's what fuels us, is the impact that they're having on their communities.
That's great. Now you can serve other locations, right? I mean, if somebody wanted to reach out to you.
Yeah, we have clients in Texas and Montana and California and all over the country.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's what I was thinking. I
Yeah.
was I was really curious what put you in that field. Did you major in that? I don't know if I missed that detail of your
Yeah,
story.
so I went to the University of Oregon, go Ducks, and I studied entrepreneurship. I knew I wanted to start a business. Had no idea what that was going to look like while I was in college, to be honest with you, Janice. I had a lot of fun in college. I was less focused on what came next and more on how am I having a good time with my friends while I'm here. So, not to say I didn't do well. I did enjoy my coursework, especially in my last 2 years when you get into like the meat of your concentration, working with other people that want to go out and jump onto this entrepreneurial journey. But marketing was always the thing that I enjoyed the most. And learning consumer behavior, the psychology behind what gets someone to buy, I love that stuff. And so kind of planted the seeds in college, but I didn't come out knowing, oh, I'm going to start a marketing agency. I actually thought when I moved down to the Bay Area, I was going to be a marketing consultant working for one of the big firms in San Francisco, and quickly realized after hitting the streets, sending off resumes, going to a couple interviews, that with a degree and no real experience, no meaningful internships or anything, like I said, I was more into partying at the time. No one was going to hire me for that. So had to, reorganize my trajectory, and ultimately landed in a position that served me well. I was a marketing manager working for a big commercial property management firm, and I was the manager at an outdoor shopping center they had in Alameda, California. Alameda South Shore Center. So we had about 100 tenants, mostly small local mom and pop businesses. And part of my job was helping them to better market themselves. So when they had questions about social media or SEO or how do we get more foot traffic coming in, I was who they came to. And I didn't know in the beginning what to tell them, but through a little faking it till you make it, a lot of grinding and learning and trial and error, I became, really versed in how to help small businesses grow. And that planted the seed even further, which ultimately led me to start the agency when we were traveling through Asia.
Wow, that's some good experience. I do I do wonder though, was there ever a time you felt scared or um shaky about what you were stepping? I mean, traveling to Asia takes courage right there, but and everything you do sports wise, in my opinion, takes courage. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. Um, since I'm not into it. However, with your background and going through all that and you decided to make this transition, were there times if you that you feel like sharing that you just like you wanted to give up, you were afraid, you just couldn't, you just weren't sure what to do even though it sounded right, felt right? Can you share some of those moments or some things that were relevant?
Yeah, I mean, multiple times. It kind of comes in waves. I've talked about this before. There's moments of everything's going great, you're growing, you're learning, you're serving at a super high level, and then you kind of hit that next plateau of my skill set really is going to have to change to take this thing to the next level where I want it to go. And throughout that journey, I've always struggled with imposter syndrome and lack of confidence. Like, can I really grow this thing to be the business that I want it to be? And early on, it was hard, being a solopreneur in the very beginning. I'd bring on my first client, my second client, and okay, now what? Now I have to like fulfill on all of these things that I've promised to the clients and do all the work while still trying to grow the business. So early on, it was a lot of trial and error between growing and taking on new clients, but not having a team yet to support me, and providing a great service, but working insane hours. I was grinding, working 60 plus hours a week. And I got to a point where I kind of sat down one day and chatted with my wife, Allie, and was like, the goal for this was to create more freedom and to create a lifestyle. And I'm not feeling that. Like, I'm just working all the time. What am I going to do? And that's where I really had to look in the mirror and check my ego. I didn't need to be the one to do everything. In fact, even though I'm good at something, there's people that are way better at some of the stuff than I am. And so learning how to hire well, to trust in other people, and to delegate and bring in the support I needed was key to ultimately be able to scale to the next level. And then from there, every couple years, it's like, where do we go next? How am I going to continue to adapt into this world? Now we're rapidly changing with technology and AI, and we were thinking like, oh man, what is this going to do to the agency world? A lot of these advancements are going to take what we do and make it really easy for anyone to do this stuff. And so we had to really sit down and say, okay, no, we have to shift. How can we use AI and how can we use new technology, not to just keep doing what we've been doing for cheaper, faster, better, but like really be a growth partner, which is our goal all
Mhm.
along. How can we look at their business and put the right tools at each step of the way, not just from a marketing standpoint, but from an entire customer interaction ecosystem to be able to help them at the highest level. And so it's adapting, it's learning through trial and error, it's sitting down and looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I don't know what to do next,
Mhm.
but I know people that can help me through this, and being willing to ask for help, seeking out mentors, hiring coaches, finding a tribe of people that can rally behind and support you when you need it. It can be a very lonely road being an entrepreneur. And for me in the beginning, I was definitely deep into the solopreneur, doing it myself, being alone mindset. And that was the biggest shift I had to make was I got to be willing and comfortable to ask for help when I need it. And I
Mhm.
need to invest in my growth through coaching, through mentorship, through courses to continue to level up, but not just doing it all on my own.
Delegation is really huge. And I know I'm headed down that road. I've been an entrepreneur, solopreneur for a long time. Coming up in the nightgown business was my first venture outside of having some support. Well, not totally, but yeah, you're right. In the marketing world, it when you start looking at that, because I've got my fingers in a lot of pies, so I know the feeling. You just sit here and go, how long can I keep going at this rate? And I'll be honest, when I was in sales and marketing for Canon, mostly sales, I was working 60, 70, 80 hour weeks too. And you burn out. You burn out and you just throw in the towel and say, I'm done. I've got to do something different. And I can appreciate that. Personally walk there. And you have to keep evaluating, don't you? You have to keep looking at your personal life in relation to your business life.
Yeah.
And so,
And I would even say like, it is important to have that season when you're young, when you're just getting started, or even when you're not young, when you're just getting started in anything.
mhm,
Yeah, you have to make sacrifices. You
yeah.
might have to work longer hours. You might have to grind. You might have to like really invest in learning whatever it is you're trying to become the expert in, with the end goal of, okay, I'm going to design this new venture, this new job, whatever it is around the specific lifestyle that I want to have. But you got to be willing to sacrifice. And especially if you're young, you trade your time for education because that is your best asset. That's what is going to provide you the greatest ROI over time, is having skills in sales, skills in marketing, skills in being a developer or being a creative or whatever it is. And you
Yeah.
have to learn that through time, putting in the work, putting in the hours. And even if in the beginning you have to do it for less than you want to, or even for free, getting those skills is
Mhm.
ultimately what's going to help you to have exponential return on investment in the long run.
Exactly. When I started coaching, matter of fact, the gentleman that helped coach me and set me up said, find a guinea pig. And I went, oh, that'll be fun.
Yep.
But I tell you what, I met a gal in a networking group that I was in, and she was transitioning from an inside office job to outside sales and insurance. Now that's a hard break. That's a hard change. And I said, look, I'll coach you for free.
Yeah.
And I learned so much, but I do learn every time I coach somebody. I find out how much I know or don't know. You working with people, right? And so in that on that note of growth, you've had some pretty rapid growth. And tell me a little bit stepping into confidence. There were moments you said that just shook, you were shaking, I'm sure, in your boots.
Yeah.
And did you find as you grew and enabled yourself with more courage and learned from other people? Tell me about how your confidence changed or transitioned within that.
Yeah, the confidence and self-belief, it's an ever growing struggle. I think any entrepreneur, at least the vast majority, we all struggle with the same mental roadblocks, comparing ourselves to others, especially in this world of social media where, you should fill your feed with successful people that are doing the things that you want to be striving for. But you have to realize that the chapter that they're sharing right now, what you're seeing,
Mhm.
maybe their 50th chapter, and you're still in chapter one. And so comparing your success to others can be a really deflating thing. And it's hard not to do. I mean, we live in a world where we're connected and we're seeing this stuff all the time. So for me, that was always a struggle in terms of confidence, looking at my peers and being like, oh man, Joseph, he's crushing it over here, or Jay, man, these guys they're just so far ahead of me. Like, what am I doing? But then I realized, man, no, okay, what they're going for, whether they are on chapter 50 or chapter one, it may not be the same as mine. I'm trying to build a successful business, yes, but I'm also trying to do it in a way that allows me to be very involved with all of my clients, to be able to have freedom. This week we just picked up little Moose. We'll give him another little shout out. He's sleeping now over here on my lap. And I haven't worked much this week because I've been very, in the trenches with him training, and my team's taking the weight off my shoulders to be able to rally while I'm stepping away for a little bit. So
Daddy,
keeping that stuff in perspective is so important. What you want ultimately is going to dictate how you grow your business. And when it comes to confidence, I think finding the right people to not just get advice from and mentorship and coaching, but people that are doing similar stuff, or whether it's the same exact industry or not, or are going through similar problems, so that, like you said, you're going to have questions, you're going to have things that you want to bounce off and brainstorm with others, but there's also things that that through teaching others, helping them overcome problems, you become you master it more. You really learn the best from taking something that you've learned and applied and then teaching it to others. That's the final stage. When you can teach something and get them to be able to do something at a very high level, well, now
yeah,
you've mastered it. And that brings a new level of confidence. And for me, once I did check my ego and started to find my tribe of people, they'd
mhm.
come to me with problems and I'd be able to help them overcome them. And there's nothing for me that has been a bigger booster in my self-confidence than seeing that happen, being able to help someone overcome and then watching them go out and succeed.
That's very true. And we are both in professions. Boy, the competition. I jokingly say, and I hope any coach watching this takes this with a sense of humor, but lately, especially, there seems to be a coach under every rock.
Yeah,
And
everyone's a coach these days.
I mean, seriously, there's so many coaches out there. But what and this is something I've been dealing with this week and last week, specifically this week has been, I'm like honing in what makes me different. I'm not anybody else, because you do see people in your feed and you compare yourself, and I go, I don't like what they're doing. I wouldn't do it that way, but they're successful. I can't. My intuition has gotten so strong, TJ, that I look at something and think about it, I go, no, that's not me. That's not me. That's not how I would do things for me. It might work for them. In on that particular topic, since we're talking about comparing, there you're in a world also. There's a digital marketing company on a rock, under a rock, and behind every door.
Yeah.
Everybody can do it. Everybody can coach, everybody can. So everybody out there listening, we're not downplaying what you do. Just know. Tell me, TJ, how has that impacted how you reach out in the community? What is your, I don't want to say selling point, but what is your main, or uniqueness is the best word? What makes Hite Digital, but not the company, TJ, different with that business?
Yeah, no, it's so true. Especially in the marketing world, agencies are a dime a dozen. There are so many people out there that will try and sell you a service to help generate more leads, to help grow your marketing, whatever it may be. And unfortunately, digital marketing kind of sucks. There's a lot of shady outfits out there that are very good at selling, are very predatory in that way, and bring on a lot of clients, but don't deliver. And so for me here locally, we have amazing marketing professionals in Central Oregon. I meet people every week that blow my mind and are experts in their craft. And I'm always of the mind, like, I want to build a tribe of all these people, whether they compete with us directly or not. Maybe they offer complementary services. But even if they do compete with us, we're not the right fit for everybody. And I'm very clear when I meet with a prospective client, I'm like, this first call is just to get to know you. I need to understand your problems. I need to understand your business, where you're at, where you're looking to go, what you've tried in the past. That way I can really diagnose, can we help you? And then on the relationship side, are we a good fit? I'm trying to be a growth partner with everybody that we take on as a client. And over the years, have been able to be a little bit more picky and choosy to find the relationships that are going to jive well for a long-term partnership. And for me, the signs that I look for are people that are community driven. Like we talked about before we jumped on, people that are really active in the community. They're building a business to support their families and to have, monetary success, of course, but there's a bigger motive there, the impact that they're going to have in their team, in the families of their team, in the community through the service that they provide, through sponsoring a little league team or the Boys and Girls Club or whatever it might be. When I see an owner that has that mission and is building a culture around that, I know I can get behind it and I know I can rally our team behind it. So, in terms of partnerships, we're looking to grow, of course. And the only way we succeed is through a long-term growth partnership with the companies that we serve. And so getting to understand not just the, hey, I want to hit, twice the amount of revenue that we're doing recurring each month. Yeah, that's important. We need to have monetary goals. But what is that going to enable the business to do when they reach that level of success? What are they going to be able to do for their team, for their community? And that's what lights us up. And I think that's what sets us apart because I ask these questions. I really dig in deep to understand, what are you trying to do here? What kind of impact are you trying to have? And when we can speak that common language and understand that, hey, through helping you to hit that revenue goal, you're going to be able to go out and send your entire team on a company retreat, taking them on a Caribbean cruise or what, that kind of stuff is what lights me up. And understanding their motivations,
Mm-hmm.
I think, has helped me sell better because they build that trust with us early on because we understand their business, not just at a high KPI superficial level, but
Mm-hmm.
what really lights them up on the inside too.
I love the collaboration piece because I resonate with collaboration. I even wrote an article sometime back, competition or collaboration.
Yeah.
And
Sensational.
there's people you should not collaborate with. Don't get me wrong, in your own industry. So you have to walk through those and I love other coaches. I have some connections that are coaches. You've got to resonate with them and they've got to resonate with you. There's got to be a real trust building process in that connection and collaboration before you go, oh, are they going to take my business? I've been down that road, TJ. I've walked that path, but I remember getting hired away from
Hmm.
where I was selling one place when the competition got beaten by what I was doing. They hired me. And really, collaboration is a community focus, be it the local community or outside of the local community. But I love the fact that the uniqueness is TJ. You're the puzzle, the piece of the puzzle that that makes Hite Digital a Bend, what it is. And your heart for the people and your heart for the community speaks volumes. And so, if you will agree, I would love to have you back once your next podcast. I won't even have you disclose it. We'll just save it for a surprise. But I know you're starting something that is more community focused, and I want to have you back once that kicks off, and we'll promote that and talk about it. But I love learning about the person behind it because the problem with comparison is you wouldn't do what I do. I would not even dream of doing what you do. they'd be in trouble. So, but the point is, we're different. We're all different, and sharing our common interest and our differences really will bring people together if they will allow it. Don't you agree?
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, that emphasis on collaboration for me is huge. I think the more lives you can touch, both from a give, but also just from a common ground, being able to ask for the help you need, all the things that we've discussed, like being open to talking to people, whether they compete with you or not, is super important. I think to be able to really scale in a meaningful way.
Well, it's true. And it's helpful to know other people in your industry
Yeah.
and become acquainted with them because they may have ideas or connections that you would never get, except they don't align with that one person, but they would align with you. And I've dealt with this for so long, but I just want to wrap this up and see if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share. And um, you can share briefly how people can reach you. And of course, we will have that information at the end of the podcast as well as on YouTube. So, is
Yeah.
there anything else you would like to share besides that wonderful moose who's snoozing in your lap?
He's starting to snore. He's definitely snoozing hard. I'm keeping with the theme of the podcast, which I just love: courage, confidence, and connections. We touched on all three throughout this conversation. But for anyone listening that is struggling with that confidence and the courage to take the next step, it really, the best thing you can do is the third piece, the connections, right?
Yeah,
Whatever you're trying to do, whatever your next goal is, there are people out there that have done it, that know what the secret sauce is, what the next step you need to take is. And all you need to have is the courage to seek out and ask for help. And you'll be able to take something that might have taken you years and do it in a week or a month or a quarter, however long it takes. Being able to ask for help is the shortcut. I've learned that the hard way. Trust me. You can figure it out on your own, and you probably will, but it might take you 10 times as long. Whereas if you just find that person that can give you the advice you need, you're gonna take that shortcut and jumpstart the successful path you want to get on. And the beauty of this is our human nature, people inherently want help. When someone is trying to do something that was your, you know, third chapter, first chapter in your past, and you can go back and help lend a hand and bring them up, there's no better feeling. So when someone comes to me looking for guidance, looking for help, I always make the time for it because it's one of the best things that I can do to impact the lives around me, and it feels good and it helps me better master whatever it is that I've done. So just have the courage, and if you're looking for someone to talk to and you think I might be able to help you, feel free to reach out to me. I'm easy to get connected with. The easiest way, I have a kind of personal brand website, tjmurphy.me, that has links to all my social media, to Hite Digital, to my podcast. So check that out. Reach out if you want to chat. I'd be more than willing to get together if you're here in Central Oregon, or we can jump on a video call and chat.
that's fantastic. And whoever's listening, we thank you for joining us. Again, TJ Murphy with Hite Digital and of course, Moose. Moose, that is adorable. And I'm sure we'll see him again.
Oh yeah, he's not going anywhere. We love him.
My cat must have heard me. He just chimed in. Uh, yeah, he makes his presence known, as you know. Okay, so audience, join us next time for another episode of Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast. I may surprise you and show up by myself, or who knows, who might walk in on camera. Thank you again, TJ.